All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Developing Resilience. We've got Coach Kirsty joining us from our Madison office today. But before I turn it over to her, just a couple of the normal announcements. We will have time for questions at the end of the presentation, and you can type those into the question box in the lower portion of your control panel. We will be posting a recording of the webinar on our blog. The link for that will be shown at the end as well. And if you would like a PDF copy of the presentation, there will be a link to download that on that same post as the recording. If your question does not get answered today, please email our support inbox, which will be shown at the end as well. All right, I will turn it over to Coach Kirsty to get started.
All right, thank you, Shelby, and thank you all for being here. As Shelby mentioned, I'm Coach Kirsty, and I'm going to be talking to you today about developing resilience. So how do we bounce back and overcome life's bumps and bruises, curveballs, or complete train wrecks, and still manage to keep somewhat of a positive outlook on life? Today we're going to be talking about resilience and your health. So why is having resilience important, and how can it benefit you? What makes a person resilient? What are those traits? How can we create optimism every day? What's a gratitude practice, and what are the benefits of doing a gratitude practice? How can we see failure as feedback? We're going to teach you how to build some resilience, what practices build resilience, what we can do to give ourselves the best chance at letting things roll off of our shoulders. I'm also going to give you some tips on where to go for more help. So building resilience takes practice, and I know sitting through this webinar is not going to make you all superheroes, unfortunately. But if you're able to adopt one takeaway from this webinar into your daily life, you can improve your optimism and positivity to cultivate more resilience. If you're really struggling with a life-changing event or stuck in a rut you can't get out of, know that there is more help available to you, and we will go through that to provide you with a few more resources at the end. What is resilience? Your mom has been trying to teach you this since you were little. Life's rough, get a helmet, right? How many of you heard that? Resilience is the ability to overcome adversity, roll with the punches, have inner strength, and the ability to bounce back from tough times. It's the idea that what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. I believe Kelly Clarkson wrote a song about that. Resilience is not toughing it out, being stoic, or closing yourself off from others. I'm talking to you, all you tough men and women out there who feel like not showing emotions is strength. Having resilience doesn't make you immune to feelings. It just makes it easier to process them in a happier, more controlled manner. So why is having resilience important for our health? Since 1948, the definition of health given by the World Health Organization has been known as the state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or illness. Many are now arguing that this does not accurately portray the true nature of holistic health. And it suggested that health be better described by emphasizing one's ability to adapt and self-manage amidst social, physical, and emotional challenges. So we already know resilience is the ability to bounce back from tough times, right? Adapt, self-manage. What this means is the more research we gather on health and what makes a person healthy, quote unquote, the more we see individuals without illness or sickness are not necessarily healthy. and that you can be void of diseases but not thriving in life. So a person might score 100 on their biometric screening, but mentally could be struggling with depression or socially lacking a supportive social circle. Resilience allows you to adapt to life's changes to help you grow and thrive, because having resilience actually protects you from various mental health conditions such as depression and anxiety. It can even help offset factors that increase the risk of these conditions, such as being bullied or a previous traumatic event. What makes a person resilient? Having a positive attitude, being optimistic, so seeing the bright side of things, that glass half full, able to regulate emotions. So proceed in a way that's calm and collected. You don't fly off the handle every time someone moves your cheese. I hope some of you get that reference. And being able to see failure as feedback. So taking those mistakes we make and seeing those as progress. These traits make you more resilient. How can we create optimism every day? So how do we see the glass half full? First things first, you have to clear out the clutter of negative thoughts from your inner critic. Think for a second about how you talk to yourself in your head on a daily basis. My guess is that you are not using your customer service voice. So is that voice in your head positive? Think about how your brain exaggerates circumstances to make problems bigger than they actually are. We've all been in this situation. A sense of doom creeps in after failing a test or stumbling over your words in a presentation, as I've done a couple times here today. Our critic in our brain shames and blames us. It tells us we're a failure. But guess what? This is a story that's been fabricated by your inner critic. You begin to believe it when you give into that thinking. And that gives your inner critic's story credibility. We need to hear that inner warrior and critic. This is something we've developed through evolution to help keep us safe when threats present themselves. But we also need to recognize which of those thoughts are stories and resist giving those stories credibility. The next time you start to notice that inner critic creeping in with crazy stories about how you made a mistake at work or you messed up during a presentation, so you must not be good enough, press that mute button on those thoughts and ask yourself, was this mistake life-threatening? And did anyone even notice? Am I giving into negative thoughts and allowing my inner critic to take over? If you're able to silence those negative voices and compensate with positive ones, you will build optimism and make it harder for that inner critic to have a voice. The Dalai Lama said, in order to carry a positive action, we must develop here a positive vision. So have those positive thoughts in your head, and that will create positive action. One way to build optimism is through a gratitude practice. And I've provided some tips for you for keeping a gratitude journal. Number one, you first have to make a conscious decision to be happier and more grateful. Research suggests motivation to become happier plays a role in the effectiveness of journaling. So you first have to choose that you want to be happier. Okay, this sounds pretty silly, right? Obviously, we all want to be happy, but making this conscious decision also means realizing you're going to have to put a little work into it. And that is what it means to make a decision to be happier. If you do make that conscious decision, I promise you the payoff is pretty amazing. Number 2, when writing out what you're thankful for, elaborate in detail. So go for depth over breadth. This carries much more benefit than a long list of superficial things. So instead of saying, I'm grateful for my health, list what having good health brings you. Go into detail about what it's like to have good health. Number 3, reflect on what life would be like without certain blessings. So what would life be like without your health, or without your family, or that work buddy that makes going to work every day more enjoyable? Which brings us to number 4, focus on people you are grateful for. This is going to have more of an impact than focusing on monetary items or things. If you'd like to take this a step further, write that person a thank you note, telling them why you're grateful to have them in your life. I bet it would make their day. Maybe even send a note to that person at work that goes above and beyond to make your work easier. This can boost their mood and change their whole day. Think about a time in passing where a coworker told you, hey, nice job on that project, or you really knocked it out of the park. That probably changed your whole perspective on the day. And savor surprises. So try to record unexpected or surprising events, as these tend to elicit stronger levels of gratitude. Another idea here is to write surprises down in their own journal, and then look back through those at the end of the year or around New Year's. You can even get the whole family involved by creating a jar where everyone contributes their accomplishments and surprising events to the jar. And then at the end of the year, you pass this jar around and you pull them out one by one, and you reminisce on the exciting things that happened to you that year. And lastly, don't overdo it. It doesn't have to be time-consuming. Just once or twice per week is all you need. This is actually more beneficial than writing daily. There are actually health benefits to people who practice gratitude consistently. The physical health benefits are a stronger immune system, they're less bothered by aches and pains, they have lower blood pressure, they exercise more, take better care of their health, they sleep longer and feel more refreshed upon waking. So this makes sense, right? If you think about someone that you know who is a happy person and they have a positive outlook on life, they have less stress, which lowers your blood pressure and makes you sick less often. The psychological health benefits, so mental health benefits, you have higher levels of positive emotions, you're more alert and alive, which we just saw from the physical health benefits. They sleep longer, so yeah, they're going to be more alert, alive, and awake. They have more joy and pleasure in life, and they're more optimistic and happy. So they're able to see that glass half full. Social benefits, they are more helpful, generous, and compassionate. They're more forgiving, more outgoing, and they feel less lonely and isolated. Think about how this would change your work environment if more people would be like this. Don't you want to work with someone who's more helpful, more generous, more outgoing? So be that person, because I guarantee that this will rub off on others. And how to see failure as feedback. So sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Failures are cracks in the pavement on your proverbial path to success. They teach us humility, maturity, and empathy. We've all failed at something at some point in time during our lives, and that's a good thing. That means we've also learned something, hopefully. If you're continuing to make the same mistake over and over again, then you might not be learning from your failures. But imagine this for a second. Imagine you're a venture capitalist, and you had the option of investing in someone whose first, second, maybe even third startup failed, or someone who's been successful with their first. As it turns out, venture capitalists don't want to invest in someone who hasn't failed. Why? Because each failure is an opportunity to learn and improve. Those individuals who fail, they picked up the pieces. They fixed their mistakes that led to their failure, and they tried again with a better product. Failure makes us human. It is the constant threat of failure that makes us aware of our extraordinary existence. How do we build and improve resilience? Number one, relationships. Building strong, positive connections with loved ones and friends provides you with needed support and acceptance in both easy and tough times. Isolation is toxic to the human nervous system. We need each other. So no matter how much you think you are allergic to other people, you need a support system. Number two, make your days purposeful. So create goals and take action. Hopefully you're setting reasonable goals that you can accomplish on a regular basis, preferably something you can do easily in the short term. But if you've got a larger goal, no problem. Break it down into smaller steps or manageable goals. You have the option to sit back and let life happen to you, dwell on problems, hoping they'll fix themselves. Guess what? They won't. Or you can take action and face these head on. If you're waiting until you feel like it, it's never going to happen because you're not just going to wake up one day and feel like it. So volunteering or joining a faith or spiritual community is another way to build purpose in your life and help you make important connections. Learn from experience. So how many of you took a look at this picture and thought, oh my gosh, that child is about to burn her hand? Well, I can guarantee you if she touches that hot stove, she'll only touch it once. And I know this from experience. I was cooking with my mom as a child, and she left the room. But before she left, she said, do not touch the hot stove, Kirsty. And I was a kid, so what do you think I did? Yeah, you tell a kid not to do something, they're going to do it. And I touched that hot stove. But I learned from that experience, and I never did it again. So think of times in your past when you've had to cope with other hardships, or maybe you even saw someone else going through a hardship. Write about these positive and negative behavior patterns to guide your future behaviors. So what worked? What didn't? How can you learn from these or see these failures as feedback? And number 4, cultivate hope. We can't change the past, so don't dwell there. Yesterday is not ours to recover, but tomorrow is ours, win or lose. Accepting and anticipating change makes it easier to adapt and view new challenges with less anxiety. So as you develop resilience, hardships can be viewed more like challenges And the more confidence you build in your resilience, the less anxiety you will have day to day with problems that arise. Number 5, care for yourself. We judge ourselves much harder than others do, thanks to our inner critic. So tend to your needs and feelings by silencing these voices in your head that aren't positive or productive. Practice hobbies and activities you enjoy. And get outside for some physical activity, fresh air. Eat a healthy diet. Practice stress management and relaxation techniques. And get plenty of sleep. 7 to 9 hours should be the goal. If you're looking for more tips on stress management and relaxation techniques, Part 2 of our July webinar on improving your biometric score is a great place to start. And if you've got bigger wellness goals and you're just feeling overwhelmed on where to start, how do I progress? Set up a time to talk to one of us health coaches. We can get you started with a plan that leads to your success. And finally, number 6, be proactive. Don't push problems aside or push people away from you. Make a plan for yourself of what needs to be done and then take action. Remember, it takes time to recover from setbacks and traumatic events, but your situation can improve if you work at it. All right, where to go if you need more help? Building resiliency, as I said, takes time. It takes practice. So if you've been trying to do it alone and you're struggling, these are some places to look for extra support and guidance. There are self-help and support groups, books and other publications. There are podcasts or motivational videos. In the morning, sometimes if I wake up and I'm just not looking forward to the day, I'll put on a motivational video from YouTube and I'll listen to that as I get ready for the day. And it can really boost your positive attitude. You also have mental health counselors through your EAP. So EAP is the Employee Assistance Program, and all their services are completely confidential. Your Human Resources Department can connect you with the information for their phone number. And don't forget about your primary care physician. They can get you connected with other resources as well. So I'm going to leave you with this because I think it's fascinating and something you need to remember every morning when you wake up thinking, I don't want to get out of bed. I am channeling a little bit of Mel Robbins here, and if you don't know who I'm talking about, look her up on YouTube. She would be one for great motivational videos in the morning. Scientists have evaluated the likelihood of you being born at this specific point in time to the parents who created you with the DNA structure that you have. That number is 1 in 400 trillion with a T. Did you guys know that the odds of winning the lottery are 1 in 14 million with an M? Dr. Ali Benazar actually posted a breakdown of these calculations in the HuffPost, so if you want to check those out. But needless to say, it's a huge number, and you are a miracle put on this earth with a purpose. Don't ever forget that. Think about it tomorrow when you wake up and every day from here on out. And remember, resilience takes practice. It is exactly like learning a new language. You have to train your brain to think a different way. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Kirsty. You knocked it out of the park, as you said earlier. All right. So we'll get to questions here in a minute, but I just want to chat about the upcoming webinars. Next month, we're going to talk about processed food, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Most food is processed in some way, but we're going to give you kind of recommendations on where to go and how to make better decisions there. And then September, we're going to talk about some back health, hoping to prevent some issues because back health is a really, really big deal and really, really common. So we're going to try to help you prevent some of those issues that pop up. And then contact us. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. That blog, healthcheck360.com/blog, is where you're going to find a recording of this webinar and the link to download the slides if you want to. We'll have that up either this afternoon, or we will have it up this afternoon since tomorrow is the 4th, so we'll get that up today. You can watch our past webinars, and then if you want to chat with us, like Kirsty said, if you've got bigger goals that you want someone to help keep you accountable with, give us a call. We love, love, love to talk to anyone that wants to work on their health. So there's our phone number. You can email us to set up a time or email us to answer questions too if you'd rather chat that way. So we